you at Taco Bell?
Do it look like I was at Taco Bell? Do it look like I got some Taco Bell?
Were you there before?
Do it look like I got some Taco Bell?
I say this all the time, and that's the reason why Terrible Custer tagged me in. This woman posted in the 2X chromosome subreddit saying, I don't know what young woman needs to hear this, but don't waste your 20s on mediocre men. I say this all the time because I want young ladies to leave their parents' house, go out and find out who they are, pour into themselves, pour into their education, figuring out where you want to live, what you want to do for a career, what your belief systems are outside of your parents. Use your 20s for yourself and stop giving your 20s to these men. I say that all the time. I'm happy that Terrible Custer tagged me in. Now let's look at her post. She says, now, yes, this message can, of course, be applied to every woman. I'm just saying young women because I'm 22. It saddens me when my girlfriends tell me about how trash their boyfriend is. It also saddens me when I see posts on here written by a woman that is wasting her youth on a man who cheats on her, abuses her, uses weaponized incompetence, etc. Please, I beg you, don't waste your youth on crappy men. Sometimes you might fall in love with the wrong one, but please love yourself more than you love that man. Yes, she's 22 and saying this. Love yourself more than you love these men. Yes, never be too afraid or attached to walk away. You can't change him, and it's better to marry late than ever. There's no timeline. Honestly, men should be accessories to our life. She is 22. I think it was yesterday I read something from another 20-something where these women are opting out a lot quicker. But that's the thing. Your 20s should be used for yourself. Up until we're like 17 or 18, we're living with our parents. When do you get a chance to focus on yourself, build yourself up, learn what you like and dislike? And if you are putting all that energy, because some women do, they get with these boyfriends, they help them with their homework, they help them with their resumes, they help them organize their lives and getting ready for interviews. They should be women, ladies, you should be using that time, energy, and resources for yourself. Make these men hold their own nuts. I am so glad that young women are seeing this, and so many are not as super duper desperate as times pass. And I'm glad that this young lady is speaking to other young ladies, because yes, like she said, this could go for any age range. But if women start doing this, building their foundation early, learning their boundaries early, getting their voice and being assertive and having some self-confidence early, they are going to be amazing in their 30s and 40s. And they're starting off so young, and it makes me so happy. I'm glad that she made this post, and I'm glad that I was tagged in. Let's see what some of the comments say. No Thoughts, No Sleep says, it feels like a canon even for young women. Spend a chunk of your 20s getting taken advantage of by some chump. Wise up, learn your worth, and gain independence with the realization you should never need a relationship, and they should only be permitted in your life if you want one. Relationships aren't a box to check off, especially not marriage, and you should take your time and thoroughly vet your potential partners. And always remember, a partner is supposed to make your life easier, not add to your plate. I wish I could just teach all early 20-something women this with a mass update or something, but unfortunately, it's a lesson most have to learn on their own, because at 20 years old, you just don't realize what you don't know yet. Regardless, if you're a 20-something and reading this right now, thinking about how your boyfriend is more of a burden than a partner, whether that be physically, financially, or emotionally, wise up and stop wasting your time. Cut the dead weight and flourish. Now, No Thoughts, No Sleep. She says, I wish I could teach all early 20-something women this with a mass update. That's the reason why I do what I do. I am trying to reach as many women as possible. I'm trying to reach teenagers. I'm hoping that mothers with daughters take the things that I'm saying and give it to their daughters, where we keep on saying, do not give your 20s to a man. If we keep repeating that, and I keep repeating this, and we keep spreading it far and wide, we are going to have a generation of women that pour into themselves, and it's going to make these dudes have no choice but to get on their game and stop thinking that they can attach to a woman and suck her life force, suck her time, energy, and resources. They'll have to do it for themselves because the girls and women will be pulling back. Daisy Gleam says absolutely this. So many young women are taught to center their lives around relationships instead of their own growth. Learning to love yourself and build your own independence first changes everything. You stop tolerating the bare minimum. Perfectly said, cut the dead weight and flourish. Cut the dead weight and flourish. Ree says, it's never too late to realize your worth and stop settling for terrible people, thinking you will never find someone. Oxen Vibe says, I couldn't agree with this more. So many of my friends, peers, and clients went through the gauntlet of being with some brand of hobosexuals in our 20s, only to eventually develop confidence, to leave, and wisdom to never let someone like that in our lives again. As much as the man-child that I was with from 22 to 27 did damage to my health and sense of trust in so many ways, I don't look back with regret. Post-therapy, like, no, I would never want to do that again. And also the amount of growth and knowledge that relationship served to be is irreplaceable to me. It was part of my maturation process, and that has value. And the OP says, yep. But the thing is, you can find value in taking the lessons from us older ladies. You can hear these stories. You don't have to go through that gauntlet yourself. You could use just imagine, she says 22 to 27. Imagine that energy, that time, that money that you spend with somebody that is a hobosexual, pouring into yourself, traveling, pouring into your own savings, learning what you want to do, pouring into your education. Think about how much further along women could be if they are not pulling along some hobosexual or supporting some hobosexual. Insidiously Bleak says the amount of time and thought, determination, and energy that goes into the relationships will always be better spent on your own education, career, and financial security. Never waste that youthful energy on a man who doesn't deserve it. Absolutely, yes. I hadn't read through these comments, but we're saying pretty much the same thing in all of these spaces as older women. We have been there. And it's not even to say I personally, but the collective, we have enough stories, have enough wisdom, and we are caring enough to make sure that we give you this information. Sometimes young ladies need to touch the stove themselves. I get it. Sometimes they are not going to hear us. I get it. And sometimes the older ladies get bitter that they give out this information and the younger ladies don't hear. I get it. We can still keep talking. We can still, some 5 to 13 ladies are listening to us, and they are going to watch their peers do these things and go through these obstacles and go through these gauntlets. But that 5 to 17 or whatever I said, they're going to hear us. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Efficiency OK says, and don't move in with some guy until they have been fully vetted. It is absolutely heartbreaking seeing these posts from young women without a way out. If you need help with rent, get a girlfriend, family member, anyone other than some guy you barely know. And the thing is, we can't fully vet these men because sometimes they will have a whole apartment, be clean in their apartment, and still move in with you and believe that they have a servant in the home. I say stop moving in with these dudes. We're seeing over and over again where the women are still taking on the majority of the cooking, cleaning, child care, the administrative stuff. Women just need to stop moving in with these people. Just take a break until these dudes learn how to properly adult without thinking that they get a wife appliance or a girlfriend appliance that's going to cook and clean for them. All right, y'all. I know I am redundant. I know that I am redundant in the topics that I talk about, but I do believe this whole pour into ourselves, take your 20s for yourself. I think that this is an important topic for us to continue to hammer home because this is going to impact our 30s, 40s, 50s. It's going to impact our whole foundation. So that is my reasoning for continuing to speak on these things. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This is a young lady in her 20s, and she's asking if she's overreacting, and she gives us some screenshots. Here's her caption. She says, "Hi, I haven't posted here much. I'm not sure if anyone will even see this, but I've been with, let's say, C for 2 months now. I know that's not a very long time at all, and this may honestly seem childish, but that isn't my intention. A lot of the time he blames me for everything, making me believe I'm always in the wrong. So am I in the wrong?" She got 10,000 comments on this post. That is a lot of comments. She's in her early 20s, and before I show you the beginning of this text message thread, she's pregnant. She's been with this dude, she says here, for 2 months now, and she's pregnant with him. And she's going back and forth with him on TikTok, of all things. So before I show you this, let's look at what this, it looks like a man says. So this man says, "All of these people saying you did nothing wrong are sort of ridiculous. You're not a piece of like this dude you're talking to by any means, but you did choose to sleep with this dude. And I can almost guarantee there were signs of this weird, vindictive, and effing cowardly character that he's showing that you ignored. If you don't want to keep running into men like this a-hole, you need to understand what and why you are drawn to him and what you can do to spot the signs and walk away from it if you see it again. But just to be clear, he is a piece of person, and I'm sorry you're going through this. No one deserves this." I want to come back to this part right here. "But you did choose to be or sleep with this dude, and I can almost guarantee there were signs of this weird, vindictive, and effing cowardly character." What if a woman, as a young girl, wasn't taught the signs to look out for? So I'm just putting that out there. So many of these people assume that folks have the same baseline of understanding cowardly, vindictive, weird behavior. And then the OP, Scarlet D. Scarl, says, "I see your point, and to be honest, I may have just been blind due to reasons tied to trauma. I do agree." So I'm just putting that out there. Sometimes you got to understand where someone is coming from. And I'm going to get to some of the things that were traumatic in her past. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment, because you never know why somebody is attracted to somebody or willing to have unprotected sex or jump into a relationship and feel like they are, soulmates, or feel like this person is safe. Maybe because their trauma doesn't allow them to be seen for the red flags that they are. Now, I don't know if this particular young lady is going to listen. 10,000 comments so far. She may take the information, she may not. But family planning is financial planning. If you are not ready emotionally, mentally, if you're not mentally sound, if you have trauma that you haven't worked through your past, and your money is not right, bringing a child on top of that will be catastrophic for both you and that child. And children deserve to be raised with a parent, if not two parents, that are emotionally grounded and healthy and have the finances to actually care for them. Not somebody that is having a baby out of trauma sex. And, the dad is already saying, absolutely not, terminate. That's starting that child off way behind the line. You're going to be jacked up emotionally, financially, and all of these things. And why? Because you're not healthy emotionally and mentally to be doing all of this and having babies. Because babies will tax you mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. So like Noguera says, do not have this child. Holland Oates says, "Don't let your trauma make the decision to have a child with this man. You will be locked in an endless struggle with him. Do the rational thing, not the emotional thing. Save yourself." Zealous Ideal says, "I know it hurts. I'm not trying to be cold, but if anything I say sticks with you and helps you protect yourself from people like this, maybe I'm not as useless as I feel sometimes, and you won't get hurt like this ever again." Darth Nomi says, "You aren't useless. This is highly valuable advice, and I'm very happy you shared it. Mom hugs." And I am going to get to her screenshots in a minute, I promise. I'm just reading through some of these comments first, and some of the things that she talks about in her screenshots are triggering. So I'm just putting that out there, that some of the things that she has gone through in her childhood, according to her trauma is triggering. So I'm just putting that out there. Bitter Picture says, this is a good path, but just so you have the bigger picture, realize you may never be able to get help from social aid programs like food stamps or welfare. Some places make you name the father when you apply so they can go after him for money. If you name someone else, you will F that guy over. Look at your local laws. Not naming him on the birth certificate or putting him on child support isn't a cure-all if you still need assistance raising the kid. I'm about to jump into her text messages, and I'm starting at the end. You see the number 8. I just want to remind us all, stop telling dudes your trauma. Stop telling these people this stuff, because they will use it against you. They will put it in their back pocket, and they'll make it seem like they are a sympathetic ear, and then use it. They will use it against you. So this is at the end of the conversation. He says, I mentioned your mental health, not your past. I can mention your past if you like, since you did it to me. She says, go ahead. You know nothing about it. All you know about is my mom and that she took out a dog. So look at what this dude says. This is a low blow if I've ever seen anything. You enjoy being touched by your granddad, ditched by your mom, having 2 moms and 2 dads because your family are all whores. You seem pretty effed up to me. Definitely no state to be having a kid so young. He took her traumas and he used it like a weapon. Stop giving these dudes your trauma. Stop giving them weapons to use against you. So that's the end of the conversation. That's where she stopped it. Let's go back to the beginning though. Keep in mind, she's been with this dude for 2 months. All right, so he says, you're getting blocked. I don't want custody. She says, of course you don't. He says, good luck affording a kid alone. She says, you're paying child support. You don't care about anything, do you? He says, I don't effing think so. Terminate. She says, genuinely, you have to. He says, you can't force me to pay for something I don't want. He says that's illegal. So either abort it or pay for it alone. Not my problem. If you try to get me to pay, I'll happily take you to court and say you're not mentally stable enough for a kid. She says, my therapist, keyword, something that gets covered, and says I am. So, and then he says, we both know someone with bipolar, past SH issues, suicidal thoughts, and other issues isn't stable. And trust me, I'm good with words. They take that kid off you right away, and I don't want it, so into care it goes. And she says, I don't even struggle with most of that, and she was in the past. Also, I've screenshot this, so if you try to go to court, I'll have evidence against you, so good luck. And he says, evidence of what? Me saying you're not mentally stable? Screenshots don't prove anything in this case. And she says, evidence of you planning against me to get my baby taken away. My baby, which I already love. He says, I'm calling your mental instability out and you don't like it, so you're screenshotting and hoping it saves you. And then he replies to evidence of you planning against me to get my baby taken away. And he says, that's because you can't force me to pay for something I didn't agree to. Also, you're not mentally stable. She says, I'm done with this conversation. I'm focusing on myself right now. And then that's how we get to this final screenshot, which I've already talked about in the beginning. It does not sound like this woman, this young lady, is mentally grounded. It does not sound like she has the means or support, the financial means or support to take care of a child at this particular juncture. Family planning is financial planning. And if you are not healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially, it is going to jack you up and be a catastrophe for an innocent child that did not ask to be here. All right, y'all. Y'all go ahead and chime in and let me know what you think about this one. The days are getting shorter and the temperature is dropping. So that's just a reminder that it is hobosexual season. Just say no to hobosexuals. Do not let them move into your house. Do not let them burrow into your couch. Do not give them your Wi-Fi code. Just don't. So this woman posted in the Am I the Jerk subreddit saying, am I the jerk for not letting my boyfriend move into my apartment after he got evicted, even though he's been staying over almost every night? She's 28, he's 30. She says, I've been dating Ryan for a little over a year. We get along well, and he's been staying at my apartment about 4 or 5 nights a week for the past several months. He has his own place, or had, I guess. Last week, he got evicted. He admitted he'd been behind on rent for months because his job situation was unstable, but he never told me that before. Now he's asking if he can move in temporarily until he finds a new place. The thing is, I own my apartment. It's small. I like my space, and I'm not ready for someone to live with me full time, especially not someone who just lost his housing because he wasn't being responsible. I told him I'm happy to help him look for an affordable room or short-term sublet, but I don't want to live together yet. He took it very personally and said I'm abandoning him when he needs me most. My friends are split. Some think I'm setting a healthy boundary. Others say if we were serious, I should want to help. Now he's couch surfing with another friend and barely texting me. Am I the jerk for not letting him move in? Absolutely not the jerk, but I'm totally sure y'all knew that I would say that. I don't even really need to elaborate. This dude is 30 and he was behind so much that he got evicted and she didn't even know that he was unstable like that. Why would you want to be with a 30-year-old man who let you know I am not good with money? Because you have to be really behind to get evicted, and she not even know that he was behind. Absolutely not. You do not want to tie yourself or let a man come in and burrow in that's unstable. He will be a liability. He will leech off of you. This is a parasite. And like Dry Crab that tagged me in, she says, absolutely not the jerk. This is a textbook case of what Bourbon Bougie calls a pest who wants to nest and rest. He wants to burrow in for the winter. Make your escape now while he's on the loose. I love, keep on saying pest that wants to nest and rest. It just rolls off your tongue. Do not let these people burrow into your couch. Blobfish says, not the jerk. He doesn't sound trustworthy. And then Road Food says, most hobosexuals aren't. And it makes me laugh when people learn the word hobosexual. This person at the bottom is laughing at that word. Humble Meerkat says, hobosexual and laughs. And she says, I love how much Reddit adds to my internal dictionary. This person, Hedwig Flies Again, says, me too. I learned the phrase me parade from Reddit. It fits so many situations here. I've never heard me parade, but I think that we need to start working that in. Interesting Novel says, why on earth women think they can have a stable, mature, long-term relationships with these type of men is a mystery to me. Plus, aren't you supposed to ask questions about employment, etc. within the first month of dating? And then Road Food says, job situation unstable means unemployed. The eviction means nobody will ever rent to him. His occupancy will redefine the word temporary. But the thing is, right here, even if you ask the question in the first month of dating, people's situation changes, and he could have had a stable job. He could have had a good job early on, but maybe he's just been terrible with money or making dumb decisions or whatnot. So what you learn in the first month isn't necessarily going to set the scene, even if you ask all of the right questions. And let's remember, some of these people lie. Zesty Close Height says, not necessarily unemployed. Unstable can mean a lot of things in this world, but do not allow him to move in. You will never be rid of him, especially if he starts to get mail, especially if he learns the squatter laws and tenant laws and all of that. Because many of these hobosexuals, many of these parasites know the laws of the land and know how long that they need to stay in your home to become a technical tenant. Do not allow them to attach to you and suck your time, energy, and resources. All right, Adorable Eye says, no job and no place to live, and he didn't tell you about it. Sounds like a real winner. He is not a winner, obviously. Do not let hobosexuals into your home, and keep on talking about this so that we can remind our daughters to not let these people into their homes, to cultivate your friend group. get yourself together financially, and then get your self-esteem and your self-confidence and your assertiveness where you can have some boundaries to say no and stick to those boundaries. All right, y'all, I'm going to end it there. Join the conversation, share. Please comment on these posts. Make sure you share far and wide, and we're going to help out the next generation of women folk. All right, like, comment, share.
Give me all your negative energy. Give me it! Bad bitches like you don't fucking need this shit anymore. Now go continue being the badass fucking positive queen you are.